Asia CEO is really a sought-after brand and recognition among the private sector.
I work abroad as an OFW, and I've seen the experience of how Filipino were treated that time. So I always thought of creating an event someday to really recognize Filipinos and also market Philippines.
Let's present Philippines in a positive light. And the goal is expand your business, start your business, move your business to Philippines, hire Filipinos. They're good people to work with, and you'll do well. That's the goal.
Way back when we were the poorer or sick country of Asia, and now if you take a look at, for example, the BPO industry, we're number one in the world. There's a lot of potential for the country, and if we are really going to see fruition that we are going to be one of the top economies by 2050, I think it is very important for us to really pool our resources together.
And we always believe from the beginning that this association was the right medium, the right structure, and the right outfit to really put the Philippine business community on top of the agenda for the Filipino people and also for the international community.
Well, it gives me a fantastic insight in terms of how broad the industries are and how many different types of successes that are contributing to the growth and inclusive growth of this nation.
We have to create a future where our next generation of talent and leaders is prepared for all of the new opportunities that will present themselves.
Asia CEO Forum is very unique because it is more than any other forum emphasizing that this is about nation building.
Economic growth is a very wide subject, and Asia CEO Forum always find the right angle with the right topic at the right time to talk about, and that's why there is such attraction to these events.
They connect people, but they also create a platform for transfer of best practices, best knowledge.
I believe in the vision of Richard and Rebecca. I think they have this vision to help make the Philippines a first world country in 2030.
And with our partnership together, I know that we're achieving a lot of things.
Thank you for what you're doing. We applaud your efforts. We're proud and happy to be your partners.
We encourage other companies to join in and be a sponsor, and I'm very, very sure that they'll find it worthwhile.
You have to be passionate in what you do because your enthusiasm will definitely flow.
Through the years, Airspeed has grown from a small air freight service provider to being one of the most established end-to-end logistics solutions and express courier company in the country. Since 1985, Chairman and President Rosemary Rafael has been passionate in leading the team to build businesses, build lives, and build communities. Airspeed started with only 6 employees. Now with over 500 strong and dedicated workforce, the company has been continuing to serve different stakeholders, all making sure to become part of a greater purpose. During the 80s, its humble beginnings are evident as it only occupied one small unit as an office workspace until it moved to GGB building at Pasco Drive, Parañaque City in 1998. As it grows, its presence has spread from the National Capital Region to different parts of the country, ensuring that Airspeed can serve all Filipino businesses. The Los Angeles, California office was also established in 1993 to make sure the global Filipino market has been taken care of. The company's expansion can be noted through its global presence to reach whenever, wherever the clients need our assistance. To fulfill our clients' logistics needs, we ensure that the company has an updated system and has grown its fleet to efficiently serve to make it happen. From air, sea, and land freight to customs releasing, Airspeed is also now offering customized logistics and warehousing, helping the clients grow their businesses while aiming to be the preferred corporate and end-to-end logistics provider in the country. We are grateful to be trusted by different clients from all industries. We see them not just a sale, but a partner in building, growing, and surviving the demands of a fast-paced world. With the growth of e-commerce, Airspeed has also adapted and became a last-mile partner of several platforms and service companies, making sure to deliver smiles to the online Filipino. And nothing can stop Airspeed to go beyond impossibilities. In over 2,000 Louie branches nationwide and in California, customers can now send and receive packages, parcels, and documents through Cargo Padala, powered by Airspeed. As the company continues to be relevant, Airspeed has strategically partnered with Aseem Investments Corporation to broaden its logistics services support. It will also bring Airspeed's brand of customer service to a larger field of clients. While the company continues to succeed on the business aspect, it will always be a company for the community, helping other organizations to improve the Filipinos' quality of life and promoting sustainability. The Airspeed team will be an embodiment of volunteerism, service, and love for country. Airspeed continuously grows because we value leadership, integrity, value of balance and honor, excellence, and stewardship. We will continuously strive to be better, bolder, more courageous, more disruptive. Because in Airspeed, we make it happen.
Please welcome Father William Bustamante, Parish Priest, Ina ng Laging Saklolo, Tagaytay City, to lead us with the invocation.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. All-powerful and believing God, who always acts for the success of each and everyone, and of our nation as a whole, you have prepared a bright future for all of us. We thank you for always being at work in our lives, for leading us and supporting us amidst this difficult moment of our history. Now, in a special way, we are grateful that you have gathered us in this event to hear and learn from people who have in a special way experienced your divine providence in the business sector, to teach us and to serve as our inspiration in our actions amidst the challenges of the present time. We believe in your goodness. We are placing our confidence in your providence. We pray that what we do may always have your blessing as we strive and continue to walk and move forward. As we celebrate your kindness and generosity, together we implore you, O Lord, to continue strengthening us, inspiring us, and uniting us as we journey as one towards a prosperous nation. Let your Spirit guide all our actions. Allow the spirit of cooperation and concern to always inflame each one of us as we work together in achieving the best for our country. May we always filled with joy and thanksgiving in all our endeavors, knowing that you're always at work in us. With hearts full of gratitude and jubilation, we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Welcome to Asia CEO Cebu 2021 Online Edition, presented by Airspeed, with major sponsors Multisys, PLDT Enterprise, Regis Spaces, and Seidel. Today, the city of Cebu is the nation's second largest city and one of its fastest growing economies. In addition to exploding BPO, retail, and real estate sectors, it is home to 80% of the country's inter-island shipping capacity. Hear firsthand from expert leaders and influencers as they share why Cebu is a fast-growing metropolis which retains its beautiful culture and landmarks. Asia CEO Cebu 2021. Cebu is the nation's second largest city and one of its fastest growing economies. Exploding BPO, retail, and real estate sectors. It is home to 80% of the country's inter-island shipping capacity. Export growth alone is 20% for the past 5 years. Asia CEO Cebu 2021, where the heart sings. Please welcome our host, Mr. Richard Mills.
Welcome, everyone, to this year's Asia CEO Cebu in 2021. And yeah, lots going on. Certainly, everyone wants to talk about the COVID pandemic, and so we got to talk about that. And yes, I know many people we have had, even some of our speakers today will have stories, personal stories of COVID challenges, serious ones. But people are getting through this and a good future ahead. And I'm so pleased to hear about people building new hotels, building new facilities, expanding operations. So this is the kind of stories we're going to hear today. So the future looks good, and Philippines in particular is really in the right place at the right time to really benefit from the upsurge that happens after every pandemic in history, in recorded history. So let's get prepared and ready for that. So please be with us, as you sure as heck are, for Asia CEO Cebu 2021. Let's go. Okay, to start the event, let's go and hear Loyd Omandam, the VP of Operations for the Visayas region of Airspeed. And he is celebrating, I just heard, his 25th year with the company. And the company's only 35 years, so he's certainly a big part of this organization that has become one of the nation's dominant players. I like to tell everybody how the big SM group has bought quite a large stake within the company because they see logistics, and especially with Airspeed, to be an important part of their future growth strategy. So we're really pleased to have Loyd with us and doing really key work in the Cebu Visayas region, which is a big exporting region and a big shipping zone for the nation. So please welcome Loyd Omandam, VP of Operations Visayas for Airspeed. So glad to have you, Loyd.
Thank you very much, Richard, for that good introduction. Good morning, everybody. It is a great honor to be part of the Asia CEO Cebu. I am Loyd Omandam of Airspeed, and I do hope I can share with you some updates and enlighten you with the state of logistics in Cebu. As we all know, when COVID-19 struck the world, Cebu City has been greatly affected. People and businesses face uncertainty. Even with us in logistics, we did experience hardships just to survive and still make sure we make it happen for our stakeholders. During pre-COVID, tourism trade has been booming. The Queen City of the South, Cebu City, is known to be one of the favorite tourist spots in the country and even the world. It is considered as the second busiest metropolitan area in the country. Business and logistics sector believe that this is going to be a great logistics hub next to Greater Manila area. Developers and businesses considered and is still considering the place as one of the best destinations for logistics-related investments. Investors from industrial companies are considering several areas in Cebu. The logistics sectors has been contributing a significant role in fostering economic activities and development. The areas of Lapu-Lapu, Mandawi, and Cebu are the most in-demand locations for logistics facility developments. Cebu City has several infrastructure projects that will definitely help improve movements and fulfillments of logistics activities. First, we have the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway. The 8.5-kilometer expressway will connect to mainland Cebu from Cebu City via the Cebu South Coastal Road to Cordova Town in Mactan Island. This infrastructure has a navigational clearance of 51 meters for shipping traffic. It is computed to serve at least 50,000 vehicles daily. This will really change the landscape of Cebu. You can just see in your screen how beautiful it is. And next is our Metro Cebu Expressway. The 73.75-kilometer Metro Cebu Expressway, high-standard arterial road that will serve as an alternative north-south backbone highway. It will also connect from the Naga City, this is from the south, and to the north, Danao City, and will improve Metro Cebu's seamless east to west, south to north urban intermodal transport. The new Cebu International and Container Port. Construction civil works targeted to start by January of 2022. The new container port will handle all foreign container cargos, complementing the Cebu base camp. It has a capacity of 2,500 TEUs vessel. The project is expected to be completed by the fourth quarter of 2024. This will be constructed somewhere in Consolacion. Consolacion is the next town after Mandawi City. The Cebu Mactan Bridge, the fourth proposed bridge and coastal road construction project. This long-span bridge will connect Cebu and Mactan Island and will complement three bridges that spans across the Mactan Channel, the Marcelo Fernan Bridge, the Sergio Osmeña Bridge, and about to be completed, Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway. The project involves the construction of a 3.3-kilometer bridge with an elevated viaduct of 2.86 kilometers and a 4.9-kilometer coastal road with a 4.75 kilometers elevated viaduct. Some merchants, foreign investors, and local developers are currently land banking either for industrial and logistics-related developments. They are looking at farther north and south as potential for cold storage and dry storage facilities, warehousing, and increasing demand for better quality facilities. Mostly are from e-commerce firms and third-party logistics firms. And why is this? This is because there are limited industrial lands within the urban centers like Mandawi, Mactan, and Cebu City. Nagkakaubusan na ng lupa. So with all these mentioned developments and potential, how did Cebu did it to ensure we can flatten the curve and go back to normal lives and trade? We are the second COVID-19 epicenter. The number of cases are increasing again, but our leaders made sure that there is support to the Cebuanos. Community testing is being done and others. Here are some notable examples for the existing additional protocols in Cebu region. Mandawi City Mayor Jonas Cortez reimposed liquor ban prohibition of non-essential public gatherings, stricter border controls. The city's liquor ban will affect until August 26. Hotels, resorts, and other accommodation establishments will still be able to serve liquor to in-house guests. For travelers entering Mandawi City, individuals coming from the provinces and cities tagged as high-risk areas for COVID-19 would also be required to present the following: a negative RT-PCR test result taken 72 hours before departure from their place of origin, a negative rapid antigen test result taken 48 hours before departure from their place of origin. From Lapu-Lapu City Office, Mayor's Office, only vaccinated persons upon presentations of their vaccination cards shall be allowed to enter public and private markets, including department stores, supermarkets, grocery stores, and convenience stores. This will take effect on August 25, 2021. Although COVID-19 is expected to stay, we Cebuanos are not to be stopped in developing our province. Taking into consideration the current pandemic situation, what are the trends that drive and made logistics as an essential industry? E-commerce. E-commerce has been here since the late 2000s. Cebuanos are now buying and selling of goods or services over the internet more. It made a huge impact on the logistics sectors as online purchase increased. When department stores and malls were closed and essential items were only sold and moving, people were able to procure majority of their needs online. Logistics providers like Airspeed assist in deliveries or fulfillment activities. Last year, we started to deliver groceries, food, and non-food for customer who ordered online. That is what we call the speed concepts. We have to stay relevant. We have to ensure we capture the needs of our clients. Here are some data on Philippines e-commerce for the year 2020. I honestly do not know anybody who has not purchased anything online. E-commerce platforms like Lazada, Shopee, Zalora, SM Online are definitely here to stay. I just heard coming from my good friend from Cathay Pacific that Shopee and Lazada is chartering their aircraft from Hong Kong to Cebu. This is on a weekly basis. That's how hard it is, how Cebuanos ordered a lot coming from these platforms online. Social commerce. The growing how much yan sis? PM for prices. Akin yan, mine. Live po tayo ngayon. Comment down your orders, etc. We started utilizing our social media platforms before just to connect with our loved ones and friends. It was indeed useful during this pandemic wherein travels and face-to-face interactions are limited. But social media platforms are now helping companies, entrepreneurs in promoting brand and selling their products. Anybody can now sell through social media. With this, logistics providers and on-demand service providers are needed to ensure their success. Airspeed has now created a new service for online sellers and even individuals. Introducing Pinaspeed, your newest online pickup and delivery service. Just go to www.pinaspeed.com, create your account, and you can now book deliveries. It is now operating in Metro Manila, Rizal, Cavite. But Cebuanos, we will now soon experience a hassle-free and fast delivery service. Although we now have these new and exciting services, 3PL, integrated services, are still highly needed. Bringing in medical equipment, vaccines via trucking, logistics companies will always be essential. Just like in Airspeed, we continue to make it happen in what we do best. Our freight forwarding and customs clearance capabilities, plus warehouse facilities, all to ensure we provide what our clients will need. As shown earlier, the high demand of e-commerce last mile delivery service will dominate the logistics industry. E-fulfillment and warehousing will also be needed. So Airspeed has two ambient warehouses located in Mandawi City to address these needs. We continue to serve the different industries and commodities, ensuring to provide the highest quality of services to our clients and make it happen for them, regardless of the situation. This is where our warehouse located, and I'll show you some commodities that Airspeed is handling currently. We have aerospace and automotive, medical, pharmaceutical, that includes, of course, vaccines, textiles, apparels, and footwear, such as Under Armour, Adidas, Lululemon, Gymshark, and others. Industrial manufacturing, electronics, DG and chemicals, that's dangerous goods, consumer goods. We also handle military equipments such as pistols, sporting firearms from Cebu and Manila to the USA. This will be distributed all around the US. That includes, of course, Europe, Australia, and some parts of Russia. We also serve full container load, less container load, project cargoes, project consolidations, and of course, the live shipments that we have. This is also one of our bread and butter, the servicing live shipments like live monkeys, live dog, live cats, live tropical fish. So we handle this, all kinds of animals. I hope we continue to be hopeful for the best. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Loyd. Yeah, I didn't know all that stuff was going on with the fourth bridge and new terminals and so forth. That's very exciting, Loyd. So thank you for updating us.
You're always welcome, Richard. It's so nice to be here.
All right, let's start off this event with Jimmy Chua, all the way down in Cebu, Visayas, the head of the region for PLDT Enterprise. And I'm just talking with Jimmy, and I didn't know it, but he had COVID, him and his wife, a few months ago, and gladly he survived through it. And with, you know, proper care, you look after yourself, you boost your immune system, it's okay. It's not the end of the, it's not a death sentence for people. So there's lots of hope and lots of good things ahead. So we're pleased to have a guy who we all can relate to, and a heck of a nice fellow as well. And certainly busy through these times, keeping everybody's connections working, which is our lifeline, of course. So really glad to have Jimmy again. We've had him before, always enjoyed him. And so pleased to have Jimmy looking good and with us again. So please welcome Jimmy Chua, the head of the Visayas region for PLDT Enterprise. So glad to have you, Jimmy.
Good morning, Richard, as well as to all the participants of Asia's CEO Cebu. It's really nice to be back here. We always look forward to these events, and I hope that everyone is safe. As always, it is a pleasure for us to be here and share our thoughts on the current situation, as well as the business climate of Cebu. I am an optimist. I see the glass full rather than the glass half empty. And while recently there have been a lot of negative talks about COVID cases rising and the possibility of granular lockdowns, that will affect businesses again. With the efforts of vaccinations being ramped up, I know with certainty that this pandemic, same as pandemics in the past, will soon end, or people will just learn how to live with this better and move on. Another thing that is certain is the way we do things in the future will not anymore be the same. I've recently attended the CBM 2021 Entrepreneur Summit of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I heard and learned from almost all resource speakers and panelists from the public as well as private sector that the way to go is digitalization. Even in the recent SONA, the President talked about e-gov and digital transformation. And this is where I want to focus my insights with you about PLDT's own transformation journey, as well as sharing our experience to help others do their own transformation journeys. There's a saying that fortune comes to those who are prepared. And while PLDT did not anticipate this pandemic, we came a bit ready, as we already started our digital transformation way back 6 years ago. We were already familiar with the tools as well as the platforms, and as such, it was easy for us to shift to work from home and embrace digitalization and adopt the new ways of working. Through digital technologies, it allowed us to work better, faster, and more efficient even without having to see each other face to face. And true enough, as manifested in our 2020 fiscal year results, consolidated service revenues in 2020 are highest in history, and we've gained more customers than ever before. Our investments definitely paid off as we invested heavily in our network, 300 billion over the last 5 years. And we placed our bet on fiber, which, by the way, is already nearing 525,000 kilometers across the country. In addition, we also fortified our wireless network, focusing on new technologies like 4G, LTE, and most recently 5G. Today, our network's performance has been deemed best in class as validated by independent research firms like Ookla and OpenSignal. Yesterday, I learned that based on consumer-initiated tests taken by Ookla, Smart has consistently posted the fastest 5G speeds for the first quarter, with median download speeds of 190 Mbps. Today, we are even benchmarking ourselves not against local players, but against competitors in the Asian region. And because PLDT being at the forefront of digital transformation, this now places us in a position to share our knowledge, experience, and expertise to enterprise clients who are undergoing the same digital transformation. Today, PLDT manages about 100,000 enterprise clients nationwide, and it has been our advocacy to help enable organizations moving towards the digital environment with practical solutions that are easy, immediate, anytime, and secure. Our enterprise group has taken a notch higher by investing in a lot in our people. We've even created a technology and business consulting group whose primary role is to help enterprise businesses, large and small, private or public, plan for the future by delivering a roadmap for transformation using enabling innovations that are focused on creating value for you and your customers. So you probably ask, how does one start its own digital transformation? How do I move on from here to there? For a start, what we notice, especially for the SME sector moving through a digital environment, it's really the lack of an automated and integrated back-end system that will help make your process more effective and efficient. The challenge, however, in investing in these automated and integrated back-end systems is the significant cost required and time to implement such systems. This is where PLDT can come in, as we've collaborated with our technology partners to bring these critical business solutions at a more affordable rate and also at a monthly subscription-based model. We can also talk about effective tools for collaboration, cloud resource, data analytics, as well as data privacy, and of course, very important, cybersecurity. There is really no one-size-fits-all solution. Each company is unique. Some companies are ahead of others in terms of digitalization. Some companies even allocate 15 to 20% of their budget for digital transformation, and some even have created new digital departments in their organizations. As I close, it's not about applying methods that others are applying. It's about creating a culture of engagement that works for you, your customers, and your employees. This pandemic for me is a great equalizer. It brought everyone to their knees regardless of how big or small the company is. Everybody now is on equal footing. So to thrive, it now depends on how digitally ready we are. When this pandemic ends, I believe that those who are able to pivot, as our chairman MVP told us a few years back, will surely be ahead of the race. Again, thank you for having me. Please stay safe and a pleasant morning to all.
Very good. Thanks, Jimmy. That was Jimmy Chua of PLDT Enterprise, the guy for the Visayas region. Yeah, Jimmy, so keep up the great work, and glad to hear you're healthy and strong and all of that. So we'll hear more from you in the future, and thanks again.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is a special guest. We had him speak a few years ago and just does fantastic work in Cebu. This is Aseem Roy, the head of international operations, country head, Asia Pacific and Japan for Wipro. This is a massive organization, 175,000 or so employees throughout the world. And Aseem's company in Cebu is this region's largest private sector employer with 7,000 employees in the city. So really, really a pleasure to have Aseem. And I'm just so pleased that he's been so busy working away, hiring so many people in Cebu. So yeah, so please welcome a very nice fellow who we really think highly of, Aseem Roy, the head of international operations of Wipro. Glad to have you, Aseem.
Hey, thank you, Richard. Thank you for that flattering introduction. Nice to see you. I think it's been some time, but thankfully, we have been connected in the virtual world and more so. So very excited about the Asia CEO Forum, and it's coming to Cebu. So happy to be part of this forum every time when given an opportunity. Thank you so much. All right. So, I think we have a large audience out here, and we are all looking forward to, sharing our experiences. So guys, very good morning, good afternoon, depending on the time zone that you are in. I'm Aseem Roy. I manage the country operations for Wipro in the Philippines and the larger Asia Pacific region as well. And I'm proudly based out of Cebu, a place which I now call home. So thanks again, Asia CEO Forum Cebu, for this wonderful opportunity for us to share our experiences, our capabilities, and plans for Cebu and Philippines in general. All right. So I have a presentation. I'll just take you through this presentation. Hope you find it useful. Okay. So before I get into Cebu, I thought, we'll take you through what Wipro is all about. So we are a global leading IT services, consulting, and business processes services company with an annual revenue of almost $8.13 billion, almost 200,000 employees. To add up to Richard's numbers, we have actually grown during the pandemic across the globe. So we are close to 200,000 right now, with presence in almost 66 countries. So that's not just about Wipro. What is unique about Wipro is are focused towards ethics and the purpose. So what you see, 8 years in a row, Wipro has been rated the most ethical company in the IT BPO services space. 8 years, and that is by the Ethisphere Institute. What is also unique is our commitment to a purpose and community service. So almost 67% of Wipro's economic wealth is irrevocably committed to philanthropic initiatives. So that means that every 100 peso that we earn, out of that 67 peso is just left for philanthropic initiatives. So that's the kind of purpose that we have committed our wealth through. So that's on Wipro. All right, so this is our story in the Philippines, and I'll start by saying that, we started our operations way back in 2007, 2008. We are the exception to the rule, where most of the companies would first set up their operations in Manila NCR and then come to a provincial city. I think even 13 years back, we had a sense of Manila being extremely crowded, congested, saturated, and I thought we thought that it's prudent to go to a provincial city which has great talent, great infrastructure, great connectivity that includes international airports and other landmark areas and infrastructure that you can think of. So we started our operations way back in 2007 and 2008 in Cebu. Then gradually we extended as a BCP option or the backups option in Manila. That's in 2010. So it's a very different story from what usually the other companies do. Thankfully, that strategy has paid off. Today, we are among the largest India headquartered companies in the country. And proudly so, we are the largest PESA affiliated, accredited employer in Cebu, employing almost 7,000 employees. So our total headcount is around 8,500, out of which around 7,000 are right now in Cebu, and we are growing. So that also means that, we have contributed to the national development of build by investing in real estate, investing in lease, investing in other services to help further strengthen the economy with almost $40 million to $50 million kind of investment that has gone through. We have an entity, it's called Wipro Philippines Inc., under which we operate. Now, this is very interesting because I would like to bring it up. Wipro Limited, which is the IT arm of the Wipro conglomerate, operates under Wipro Philippines Inc. in Philippines. And to some of you may not be familiar, we are also into the glamour business. So there's an organization called Splash. If I'm sure the ladies out there on this forum would know what Splash is all about. Wipro acquired Splash last year, last year, that is in 2019. So Splash is also part of the Wipro conglomerate. It's more like a soap to software story where we are into cosmetics, personal care, and now into IT business. But I'll keep our focus on IT, that's IT and the BPO. So that's where we are. We have 5 delivery centers. Like you can see that 3 major delivery centers in Cebu, 2 delivery centers in Manila. Some of the key things that we are extremely proud of, we are one of the happiest geographies within our Wipro framework, or Wipro network of almost 66 countries. Highly localized workforce, ensuring that local employment is prioritized at all point of time. High on gender diversity. Diversity and inclusivity is one of the key charters of our organization, and we are extremely focused on that. And something that we are extremely proud of, and I keep on repeating it, is our commitment to provincial growth. It's build, all happening in a regional and a provincial city, and I think that's something that we will continue to do, as we progress. And this regional growth has got nothing to do with the kind of customers that we support. So we support almost 50 customers out of our 2 delivery centers in Cebu and Manila, out of which almost 30 are actually in Cebu, and these are all global companies, which include the Fortune 500 kind of customers that we support out of Cebu. So that's something that has worked wonders for us. And even during this pandemic, out of the logos that you see, almost 7 to 8 logos that we transitioned, out of which almost 5 logos we transitioned in Cebu, and that's right through the pandemic. So I think that's the kind of strength, that's the kind of synergy, that's the kind of resilience I have seen in the city, and we have been progressing pretty well. We are also part of many organizations at the same time, but specific to Cebu, we are a board of trustees, and I personally manage the portfolio of international relations for Cebu IT BPO organization, a premier organization that is here to support and promote IT BPO industry and employment across the region and across the province. So that's a long introduction of our Philippines presence. I'll keep it brief as far as Cebu is concerned. Like I said, that we support all dominant verticals that includes telecom, payers and provider, transportation, new age media, social media customers, dominant services. We are not limited to only BPO. We also do IT help desk. MDPS is nothing but medical devices. In fact, this is very interesting. Wipro Cebu employs more nurses than any hospital in Cebu. So that's the kind of, and that also becomes a force multiplier for us in terms of pandemic. At times, we can extend some support to communities, and that's something that we are exceptionally proud of. Then how we have positioned Cebu. Positioned, like I mentioned, that it's a strategic delivery center. It's our mothership, or should I say, it's the large aircraft carrier that we have that, to launch our operations in the region. So it's our biggest center, not just in Philippines, but also in the Asia Pacific, in the Southeast Asian region. So we do bring in that synergy of globalization of workforce, Filipino colleagues getting an opportunity to work outside the country as well. That's the kind of opportunities that this kind of setup brings in. We are pretty much aligned with the roadmap 2022. I know there has been some changes in it, but the focus on regional growth has definitely been there, and we are aligned ourselves to the roadmap 2022 that has been published long time. And in country BCP, and I think anybody will agree, the kind of typhoons, hurricanes, the earthquakes, and volcanic eruption that happen up north is not that much, prevalent in Cebu. So it has been extremely stable BCP location. So these are a few factors that I think has gone down very well with our customers as well. And I think we continue to stay bullish on our presence and our dominance in this region, and we continue to stay committed. So like I said, there are 7,000 employees, almost 7,000 seats, and we plan to grow. I don't want to give a number at this point of time, but I think we have grown exponentially in the last 3 years, and we continue to stay focused and stay positive about that kind of growth in the months and the years to come. All right. So how was the year 2020, 2021 for us? So without a doubt, I think it was a difficult period and a phase for everybody. But what we realized that our people, our employees are our biggest assets, and we invested heavily on them, to ensure that we are also taking care of the customers. The priority was that how do we manage the pandemic in general? And I think the big force multiplier, the moment things, there was a ECQ or there was MECQ and people had to work from home, I think we focused on our biggest asset, that is people. So we ensure that our employees are well taken care of in terms of logistics, financial health, mental well-being, physical well-being, providing them the health cover, providing with the leaves, and now even providing them for the vaccinations. So that's the kind of strategy, that's the kind of commitment that we have shown for our employees. And in fact, it's not just limited to that. Apart from providing these facilities to our employees, which is fundamental for us to deliver on a great customer experience and take care of the customer, we are also ensured that we have taken some unprecedented steps, which is unique for any company. This year, we provided the first salary hike for our employees in the month of January. This is for almost 85% of our employees. And in an unprecedented step, within the 9 months, this coming September, 85% of our employees would again be getting a salary hike. So if we have grown globally, if we have grown in the country, if we have grown in the city, we have also ensured that the part of that wealth is shared with our employees, and the part of that wealth is shared with the community. So that's the kind of commitment we have shown, and we have planned to continue in the months and years to come. So what has that resulted? That has resulted in some exponential growth. When the whole industry was shrinking, we were able to carry on some bold transitions, doing it remotely, doing it work from home. Some of this was partly from office, partly from workspaces. Some folks were working for dormitories, hotels. If you look at it, what really happened, it's not that we didn't have our tough times. I think we saw some ramp downs in our travel and transport accounts. But at the same time, while we shrunk a bit in the travel and transport account, we ensured that not even a single job is lost. We redeployed almost 100% of workforce, ensuring that there are zero layoffs. At the same time, we seized on the opportunities that came our way in these crises. We were able to, as I speak, by this August end, we would have grown by almost 1,000 to 1,300 employees on our base head count, out of which some of this growth is coming from the redeployment that we have done from some of our impacted accounts. But in nutshell, what I want to say is that we have grown we have almost grown by 700, 800 FT. So that's almost 10% growth in Cebu itself. That's the kind of growth that we have seen, and we continue to stay bullish on our prospects in the region, in prospects in the city, and continue to bring more wealth and goodness for the region in general, and sharing that wealth and prosperity and opportunities with our larger employees and the folks in the province. So that's our proof of putting of how we manage it. So while we progress, I think we just didn't limit it to our employees and to our customers. We also took care of our communities around us. So when the lockdown happened, there were unprecedented challenges. There were no PPEs, there were no RT-PCR machines. There were lockdowns happening in communities and barangays around us. So we partnered with different industry bodies that included, some of the chambers that we are part of, Indian Embassy that we are part of, in a think tank that we operate under. So we procured PPE kits for our frontline workers, both in Cebu and Manila. We work very closely with our industry partners to contribute in the import of RT-PCR machine that was much needed last year when the pandemic started. Those of you who are familiar with Cebu, when the barangay Loyd was about to go into lockdown, we partnered with our CIBO, which is our leading organization here, to provide for food stock and essential hygiene kits to the barangay Loyd, which was under lockdown. So those are the kind of initiatives that we took in the city and the region to share and take care of them. This is a small, appreciation from DG Plaza and from PEZA. We partnered with PEZA to move almost 700 to 800 standard employees, standard individuals in the province or the region. We shuttled buses, provided them the support so that they can get home. So these are some of those key landmark initiatives that we carried out in the region for the year 2020. Okay, so I spoke at length about what we did for Wipro and how it has helped us, grow. A part of this, I will just also focus on Cebu, like this forum addresses the larger group. So why Cebu, And like I said, in my extended role as a trustee of CIBO, I also manage the portfolio of international relations for Cebu or the CIBO. It's a premier organization with a dynamic leadership responsible for promoting IT BPO industry and obviously employment in the province of Cebu. So what we saw out here in Cebu, the pandemic was a litmus test of what the city and the province had to contribute to the regional and national recovery, and how we coped with adapting to the new normal. So now with 1 year into the stable management of pandemic, almost for 1 year, I would say that we had been into an MGC cube. And we saw a net increase of almost 15 to 20,000 new jobs in IT BPM sector. There was vast availability of grade A real estate and many ambitious telco, infra, and talent development projects which are in progress. So we are fairly confident that all this has actually helped accelerate Cebu's capability in matching up with the emerging global trends, and and possibly it will catapult the city back into among the top digital destinations. So that has been one key landmark initiative that I see, or trend that we have seen, apart from the vast talent pool that you see on the screen that is available out there. As a company with with regional headquarters in Cebu, we are extremely proud of the fact that Cebu's IT BPM industry has emerged even more stronger and resilient in managing this shift. So what we have done, we too at Wipro are extremely confident of Cebu's ability or capability to help support disruptive growth and bring more progress to this region. So that's my 2 cents on what Cebu has the potential and what Cebu can do. And I'm sure our audiences who are beyond the IT BPM sector also would kind of agree the kind of experience that we had in Cebu so far. So my next section is more about, talking about our provision, again, some awards and recognition that we have brought to the city. So I'll say that saying that our commitment to provincial growth, sustainability and regional prosperity has been best manifested by the multiple awards at prestigious forums, including ASEAN Awards, Asia CEO Awards, and ICT Awards, just to name a few. And I'll say very recently, when I'll talk about, these are some of the glimpses that you can see. This was the the award that we got during the President of India's visit to Manila in 2019, something that we are extremely proud of. And this was again about bringing regional prosperity to provincial part of the country. That was one key part of the selection criteria, bringing a sustainable development. That was one key part of the criteria. Then we have our very own Asia CEO Awards. Richard and Rebecca, I think they very well know what we do, and I think we have been consistent recipient of multiple awards in the Asia CEO Awards. Again, thank you so much. I think it's something that's very close to us. I'd personally been associated for long, so we value this partnership. Like somebody said, this is the Oscars of Philippines. So we like to be in the Oscars every time, and we look forward for those days when we can be back on the stages. So thank you, Richard. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Asia CEO. Okay. Now this one is from the ICT Awards. So at the ICT Awards, a very recently concluded ICT Awards, we were awarded the best company outside the NCR region for third time in a year, in a row. So that is 2019, 20, 21. And by doing so, we have now entered the ICT Awards Hall of Fame. It's again a very, very prestigious landmark for us, and we are extremely proud. It's not just for us, it's for the entire region, the entire city that has kind of contributed to that health. In fact, I'll say the honors that we bring to Cebu are a collective outcome of the efforts put in by all of us. Everybody here in Cebu who is part of the business community, part of the local community, and staff, academe who has supported us right throughout this golden decade, I would say. And we firmly believe, on a final note, I'll say we firmly believe, through this pandemic, we are in this together. So we will heal as one, and we will continue to win as one. So on that note, thank you, Cebu. Thank you, Asia CEO, Cebu 2021 for this opportunity, and thanks again. Stay safe.
Very good. Thank you very much, Aseem. And yeah, with 10 years now in Philippines, you've been a heck of a big contributor to the nation. So we'll look forward to having you for the next 10 years as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure, Richard. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, our next speaker, we're so pleased to have him from Singapore coming to us, is Ruben Jayasinghe. His official title is the ASEAN Digital Innovation Lead for Amazon Web Services. And you'll be pleased to know that Amazon has, I think, actually a very big presence in Philippines. Cebu is one of their I think, the largest presence that they have here. I think I'll let Ruben tell you about it, but I was so pleased to see how large an operation they have in the Cebu area and across Philippines, both BPO back office shared services facilities and commercial operations. Ruben does a lot of work with organizations in Philippines and across the nation and really helping them move forward with digital innovation. So we always like to have someone talking about this key area at our events, and Ruben is the guy for this one. So please welcome Ruben Jayasinghe, ASEAN Digital Innovation Lead for Amazon Web Services. Good to see you again, Ruben.
So Amazon, we opened our customer service office in Cebu just over 3 years ago, and the site employs over 1,000 people. And it supports customers around the world, providing 24/7 world-class customer service, in that call center type arrangement. Now, our company is really a company of builders, and we look to bring varying backgrounds, ideas, points of view to inventing on behalf of customers. And our diverse perspectives really come from many sources. It really includes gender, race, age, national origin, sexual orientation, culture, education, and even professional and life experience as well. And our ability to innovate on behalf of customers relies on the perspectives and knowledge of people from all backgrounds. So when we look at our customer service center in Cebu, we've got a range of occupations in there, including customer service associates, team managers, group manager roles, and so on. And we were very excited to invest in Cebu and work with such talented people, especially Filipinos, who are known to bring high levels of experience and passion to their work. Now, the launch of the site in Cebu followed a successful launch of Amazon Web Services, AWS. in the country in 2016, and AWS Philippines has been integral to the growth of AWS for Southeast Asia for our business. Now, in the community, we have a strong focus to foster diversity and inclusion and look for ways to amplify underrepresented voices and empower diverse communities. Our technology opens opportunities for entrepreneurs, authors, creators, builders, and much more. Now, as you mentioned earlier, I work in that digital innovation space, in the digital innovation team for Amazon Web Services, and I've got the pleasure of working with a number of companies right across the Philippines. My role is very much focused on helping customers to develop new products and services that they can then bring to market. And with COVID-19, we're seeing companies and individuals facing unprecedented headwinds. Each are tactically addressing these in their own way, all these challenges. But one common thread that I'm seeing is that companies recognize the need to innovate their way forward, to move out of the challenges that they have and to serve their customers in a different way. And sometimes we find that sharing Amazon's journey has been helpful for some of our customers to approach innovation in a different way. So if we start with our mission and what we share with customers is really around the fact that we aspire to be Earth's most customer-centric company. And the words that make up that mission are very important and deliberate, the way that we place those. At first glance, it might seem broad. They're not the words aren't, don't direct down to any particular market or segment and not specific to any type of customer. But our customers are actually worldwide. They include consumers, sellers, content creators, developers, enterprises, and much more. But while the mission's broad, it's also very specific. It's laser focused on the customer experience. And this helps us making decisions and deciding what's best for customers, helping prioritize the customer experience or their need in times like this. Our journey reflects that customer centricity in Amazon as well, and the way we've innovated and grown on behalf of our customers. We started as an online bookstore originally, then we expanded into categories like CDs, DVDs, and then into a range of products that are now sold worldwide. We now offer cloud computing with AWS. We've got hardware devices like Kindle, Echo. We're a TV and film production studio, and we've got physical stores with Amazon Books, Amazon Go, and much more. Now, these represent a wide range of businesses, and you might wonder how or why Amazon got involved in each one of these. Well, it all starts with how we innovate around customers. And the common thread across all our businesses is that we started with a customer need or pain point, and we work backwards from that to invent on their behalf. And this is very important, especially in these trying times in the pandemic. Let me give you an example of the way Amazon continually changes around customer need. See, 20 years after setting up the Amazon.com business and disrupting the physical bookstores, we did something a little odd, and people questioned this initially. And what we did is we started with customers and we worked backwards to re-envision the bookstore experience. And in 2015, we opened brick and mortar bookstores again. Now, why would we do that? Because the world evolves and changes. People's needs are always changing. And by 2015, people were feeling nostalgic about the bookstore experience. Vinyl music was coming back into fashion, and people were looking to unplug from their always-on connected lives. But our bookstore isn't an ordinary bookstore. We had 20 years of data on how people shop for books. For example, data tells us that people really do judge a book by its cover. We saw that the vast majority of people were zooming into the cover of a book before they looked at anything else. So in our bookstores, the cover is facing out in the way that we place the books. Now, it's not the most efficient use of space, but it does align to what delights customers. And we also had data on what people like to read in particular areas. And we can tailor the selection of books in each store. So continually listening to customers means that if customers change, we change. So when we consider what next in our business, we start with customers and then we work backwards from their needs. We begin by immersing ourselves in the customer. Who are they? What are their needs? Where do they have pain or frustration in their lives? And this all comes back to data, deeply understanding customers and working backwards from these needs to invent ways to surprise and delight all of our customers. Now, at Amazon Web Services, around 90% of the features we develop come directly from hearing from customers. It's the other 10% that comes from really being close enough to customers to understand and invent on their behalf when they don't or can't articulate. Amazon Go is a great example of working backwards to invent on behalf of customers. The entire business was not driven by wanting to get into the physical grocery space, but rather simply trying to address a persistent and shared customer problem. Is there a way to remove the pain and time of having to wait in line in checkout when you've been to the grocery store? Now, Amazon began and is guided by three big ideas: customer obsession rather than competitor focus, a passion for inventing, and long-term thinking. And our approach to innovation manifests in what we call our day one culture, that there's always opportunity to do more on behalf of the customer. Now, our approach to staying customer obsessed and the way we innovate is underpinned by four pillars: our culture that enables innovation, how we organize our business to optimize execution, thirdly, mechanisms that we use to drive customer-centric product and service development, and finally, our technology through AWS that enables us to do rapidly and low-cost experiment. These four pillars enable us to push innovation to the edge of our business, enabling everyone in our company to innovate on behalf of the customer. Now, it's important to note there's many different ways to innovate, and we don't claim that ours is the best form of innovation. It's certainly not perfect by any means. But rather, it's what we've adopted, what works well for us. And we're happy to share our learnings and approach, as we want to help every customer that wants or needs to innovate, especially in these times. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today, and I hope that what I've shared has given you some insight into how we look at innovation at Amazon and how it drives us to continually reinvent the customer experiences. Thank you, Richard.
Very good. Thank you, Ruben Jayasinghe. And yes, keep up the great work you're doing. I hope you're working with as many companies here in Philippines as you can. Because I mean, everybody needs it, but certainly this is the time to really get people thinking of the future. So thank you again, Ruben, and thanks for giving us so much attention here in Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Please hang on to your seats for our next speaker is Sylvester Wong, the Vice President Asia for AECOM. And if you're not in the engineering sector, you might not know the company, but everybody in the engineering sector certainly does. This is the world's #1 largest engineering design firm with operations in 150 countries. So we're really pleased to have Sylvester with us. He has done work across the Asia-Pacific region in Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, Mumbai, Bangalore, Thailand, up in Clark in Philippines, and Cebu as well. So a very active fellow and very broad in his knowledge of infrastructure and land development. So really glad to have Sylvester Wong of AECOM. Really glad to see you again, Sylvester.
Hey, Sylvester Wong here. Thanks to Richard and Rebecca. This is my 4th Asia CEO Forum. Glad to celebrate with you the Queen City of the South. And I want to reflect a little bit about life. L-I-F-E. Cities with life. Work we do across the Visayas, the Philippines, and all over the world. So, let's get started.
Life starts with L, for legacy building. A reminder that our impact is greater than a project here, a project there, in Singapore, Los Angeles, and Hong Kong, where I spent almost 20 years. Even in places as storied as New York, where we've had over a century of impact as AECOM. And by co-creating livability and resilience with communities and global best practices, we hope people will create their own legacies, great urban places for centuries to come. It's through master plans, through connective infrastructure like airports, airport cities. Our legacy crosses borders with high-speed rail, bringing families together across countries, across continents, cities where there were none before. And we hope to leave a better world for for the next generation to marvel. Now, legacy building is not just about building new things. Most recently, we helped the recovery after that oil spill in Iloilo, restoring nature's legacy and livelihoods to the community. And a great example of this is the Klang River in Kuala Lumpur. Once the dumping sewer of the city, we have cleaned, restored, and beautified it into the river of life, bringing people back to this piece of heritage to enjoy its banks and walkways as residents, as tourists. Legacy is defined not just by an object, but by that lasting impact to our sense of identity, community, and environment.
We are currently bringing those lessons to Iloilo, Bacolod, and other cities in the Philippines to create sustainable legacies, reducing carbon, enhancing resilience, and boosting competitiveness by harnessing nature.
The next letter in life is I, for innovative. Resilient cities need to evolve, sometimes with advances like our work on the ultra-fast Hyperloop, or sometimes with smart approaches to everyday challenges, like on the Philippine Senate. Now, this was a design that we did where it was an approach not depending on the latest gadgets, just looking at old problems with a new perspective, with people in mind, creating open space, informed by authenticity. The result can bring accessible ideas to a nation that deserves the best the world has to offer. We can be innovative with how we collaborate by sharing ideas and analysis, insights, information through visualization and data. For mobility, through our TRIPS platform, informing commuters about how crowded public transport is at any given time, to allow travelers to space themselves out and make the most of public transport as the world returns to service. Bringing us to the F in life, future ready. Our scientists are mapping sea level rise and storm tracks to avoid losing trillions in stranded assets. To safeguard against surges, we've engineered a 3D printed coastal protection reef, creating habitat for sea life and bringing the public back to our shoreline. And therein lies the real key to being future ready, attracting talent. Singapore is well ahead, shoring up its coasts while growing incubators like the Jurong Innovation District. Our master plan work there is a sandbox for advanced ecosystems of lifestyle, invention, technology, collaboration, opportunity for industries at the edge that are out of this world or at home right here in our cities, anchored by expertise floating right above us, keeping Singapore connected and competitive. The Philippines is nation building too. We are helping BCDA be future ready, harnessing its assets to lead by example, focusing on the unique qualities of each zone they have, acting together like a team. It's not just factories anymore, but creating higher value through tech, tourism, and innovation, connected to the city and to the rest of the world. This brings us to the E in life, enabled. In our master plan for New Clark City, it's an environment and governance to support opportunity, jobs, business creation. In this global environment, competition for investment, we build on our strengths, our people, and their boundless creativity. With the right digital and physical infrastructure, the urban places that creatives love are tomorrow's economic engines. It's not just in the outskirts. City resilience enables all of us to live and work wherever we are. Our study for World Bank mapping metros across Asian cities shows that Manila has only 7% of the rail it needs. And so the Metro Manila subway, enabling commuters to be more productive and rediscover lost time with their families. As we've been doing with cities around the world, building infrastructure to enable hope. Legacy building, innovative, future-ready, enabled. I think you know by now, I'm not just talking about our work, I'm talking about people at their best. It's time to be bold and make your cities more resilient with life.
Thanks very much. Look forward to the discussion.
All right, everyone. That was Sylvester Wong of AECOM. Thanks, Sylvester. Good to hear you're doing so many things and keeping yourself busy and making contributions to the Cebu and the Visayas region that are going to be lifetime engaging. So thank you again to Sylvester. Okay, our next speaker, we are very pleased to have Louie Ferrer. He is the Executive Director for Infrastructure Development of Megawide. This is one of the nation's largest and certainly grandest construction engineering companies. And their big success, one of their big success certainly has been the Mactan Cebu International Airport that they completely renovated and turned it into what is widely known as a real first-class, world-class international airport. So really pleased to have an update from Louie. They're very active across the country and five at least public-private partnership program infrastructure development projects that are large in scale. And yeah, so we're looking forward to hear Louie Ferrer of Megawide. Glad to have you, Louie.
Hello everyone, maayong butag sa inyo tanan. It is my pleasure to be part of this year's Asia CEO Forum Cebu. My topic is engineering a first world Cebu. But what does this really mean? Cebu as first world? Well, as we all know, our country, the Philippines, is quite far from being first world. But when I was younger, Philippines, especially Cebu, had so much promise in Asia and globally. Back then, we were competing with the likes of Japan, Korea. We even ranked higher than Singapore, China, and other Asian countries considered first world today. My question is, where are we now? What happened to our Philippines? What happened to our Cebu? Can our dream of becoming first world still a reality, and can it even happen within our lifetime? In the 70s and 80s, there was an infrastructure boom. Hospitals such as the Heart Center of the Philippines, lung and kidney centers, the Philippine Children's Medical Center, cultural buildings such as the CCP, Coconut Palace, plus a marvel of engineering for the San Juanico Bridge, and our very own Marcelo Fernan Bridge here in Cebu City. These infrastructure projects were helping pave the way towards our becoming a first world Asian country. However, over the years since, investments in vital infrastructure tapered off, and it was only during the last few years that we saw a start of resurgence. Today, we won't dwell on the past, but more on what we can do to achieve our dream now. Infrastructure is vital to supporting the growth of our economic centers like Cebu. I was actually born here in Cebu City, grew up in Surigao City, and just like our chairman, Edgar Saavedra, who grew up in Margo sa Tubig in Zamboanga City, we both grew up in provinces without access to proper infrastructure. But seeing the infrastructure in so-called first world countries helped shape our vision at Megawide. We will be a first world Philippines. That is our vision. It is a vision that always gets a reaction, be it skepticism or support. And people often ask us, can you really achieve this vision? And our answer is always a definite yes. This is because we know how to get there through our engineering excellence and a commitment to first world standards in design, engineering, and service. We definitely know it's not easy, but we are willing to put in the work, especially since what we can do will benefit our country. Infrastructure is more than just building structures. It's about marrying design and function and ensuring the viability of your structure even 40 or 50 years down the line and more. We invest heavily in engineering technologies such as precast, batching, formworks, equipment, and logistics. Our precast plant is the largest and most advanced in the Philippines and one of the largest of its kind in Southeast Asia. So, why Cebu? Well, apart from our personal connection, we believe in Cebu's potential as a first world destination for investment and tourism. It's a center for art, design, and world-class talent. It's rich in natural sites and historical locations. It's the economic center of the Visayas and the largest economy outside Metro Manila. And speaking as an airport operator, it's a natural gateway to the country with its central geographic location. Our first infrastructure project in Cebu was in Mactan Cebu International Airport, or MCIA. It's a 25-year contract with national government. Apart from operations, we constructed Terminal 2 and renovated Terminal 1. This is in partnership with India's GMR Infrastructure, which operates Delhi Airport. MCIA has won numerous awards for design and operational efficiency, among others. We commissioned MCIA Terminal 2 in 2018. Its design is inspired by Cebuano culture and heritage. The shape of the roof arches mimic the waves of Cebu's beaches with a tropical feel for the interiors. One of its design and structural highlights is a full roof structure made of glued laminated timber, or glulam timber from Austria. Cebu is the first airport in Asia to have this, followed by the other international airport we built, the Clark International Airport in Pampanga. Glulam is treated to be fireproof and stronger than steel on a strength per weight basis. MCIA has also state-of-the-art technologies for screening and security, many of them the first in the Philippines. Peak of construction, the project was able to generate more than 3,000 construction-related jobs. And for operations, it generated close to 600 jobs through concessionaires and other airport requirements pre-pandemic. For MCIA, we were really able to achieve our dream to build a world-class airport and more. Now, we are focusing on ensuring the airport's recovery post-pandemic and its continued support for Cebu's own recovery. Another key project in Cebu, which I'm very proud of, is a modernization of Cebu City's 100-year-old carbon market. This is a 50-year joint venture with the city government. Over the years, Carbon experienced rapid expansion, but its infrastructure for drainage, vehicular traffic, and market facilities were neglected in the process. We will ensure that infrastructure issues are addressed, from improving market facilities for cleanliness and efficiency to fixing drainage and sidewalk issues to stop flooding and to improve traffic flow and lessening vehicular congestion. This will go a long way in supporting Cebu City's economy in bouncing back from the effects of the pandemic. Not only are we fixing long-standing infrastructure issues, we are also prioritizing local business and entrepreneurs. Our goal is to give them a space to grow their business and spotlight Cebuano food and products at the same time. There will be 6 blocks for shopping, dining, and leisure, as well as an integrated transport terminals
that will have land and sea connections. Carbon will eventually have the first airport city check-in in the country and a connection to Mactan Island and MCIA via water taxi. Overall, architectural design celebrates Cebuana history and heritage, with all low-rise buildings and materials or patterns all representing Cebu. For us, a first world Philippines and a first world Cebu is possible if we focus on what the locality naturally has and what it really needs to grow. Infrastructure investments are vital to any growing economy, and we must always approach it with a long-term vision in mind. It has to be sustainable, with a marriage of design and function. We must build infrastructure not only with its purpose in mind, but also people. Cebu has all the foundations of a first world destination, and we will continue to help build this vision. Thank you very much. Daghang salamat sa inyong tanan, and enjoy the rest of the day.
That was Louie Ferrer of Megawide. And yeah, Louie, so really glad to have an update about all of your fantastic infrastructure projects across the nation. Thank you again to Louie Ferrer. Well, we're always pleased to have our next speaker, June Palafox. I call him the celebrity urban planner architect of the nation. He certainly does work across this country in so many projects, clear across from the top to the bottom of Philippines. I also didn't know that June just finished his bout with COVID. I was very shocked to hear he was working mainly through it. You know, June, nothing's going to stop him from working, but he got through it. Not everybody has. He mentioned that the former governor of Cebu also had COVID and unfortunately had a tougher time and didn't make it through. So we wish his family well. But June, strong and robust and energetic as always, with so many projects, and especially in the Visayas Cebu region. So really pleased to have him and see him again, always looking good. Please welcome June Palafox of Palafox Associates. So glad to have you, June. Really good to see you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you again, Asia CEO Forum. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Metro Cebu, the island of Cebu, has a very, very high development potential. I've been very fortunate, and Palafox Associates, Palafox Architecture, have been very fortunate to have been involved in many of the architecture and urban development projects of Cebu. And if you look at the map of the Philippines, let's talk about country. Our country is, rotate the map of the world, our country is right in the middle. No wonder we're the Asia Pacific hub of Spanish Europe, then the Americans, the Japanese, the British, and so on. So our beautiful islands, superpower countries are always be interested because of strategic location. Now, if you look at the map of the Philippines, Cebu is in the strategic center. So 500 years ago, Magellan is landed at Cebu without a nautical map. He landed there, maybe brought by the winds and the waves, and that's where Christianity started in our country, 1521. So this year, we are celebrating our 500-year jubilee year of Christianity in our country, maybe even the introduction of European town planning in our country. So it's very significant indeed. And Cebu Island province is 6.5 times the size of Singapore, 4.5 times the size of Hong Kong, 8 times the size of Metro Manila. Of course, it has its many challenges as well, like it seems to be repeating the mistakes of Metro Manila, the primacy of Cebu City to the rest of the island. And I have been putting forward that Metro Cebu could be a megalopolis. A megalopolis is several metropolitan areas, and a metropolis several cities. Metro Cebu has 38 municipalities and 9 cities, and most of the population is concentrated in the city of Cebu. Like, I think only 6% of the land of Cebu province is in Cebu, and yet the population is 22% of Cebu. And Cebu has tourism development potential. You can have adventure tourism, architectural tourism, heritage tourism, cuisine tourism, and about 12 classifications of tourism. And one thing about Cebu is they have a very entrepreneurial spirit. So I've been looking at the high development potential of Cebu since the 70s, and I was very fortunate also to have been the master planner of Cebu Business Park. And it's now the financial business center of Metro Cebu. And at that time, I was looking at Metro Cebu, the directions of urban growth. And at that time, the direction of urban growth was towards the north. Cebu City, Mandaue, Mactan, and so on. And this year, even many of our projects now is going south. And I've been saying planning is balanced. So urban development has been balanced. So there's a lot of potential now going south. So we have projects in south of Cebu, we have in Talisay, Minglanilla, and so on. So good, up to Bugo. That's the southern part of Cebu Island. So I've been putting forward, maybe instead of Cebu having monocentric, one center, let's say polycentric, several centers. And polycentric, these 3 metropolitan areas can be international gateways also. And natural resources of Cebu is there also. You can still feel the island feel of Cebu City. Unlike in Luzon, you don't feel that Luzon is an island. And Cebu City, island province of Cebu has, I think, 167 islets, smaller islands. And there are dive spots and so on. And going southward, some so good, up to Bogo and southernmost tip of Metro Cebu, there's white sand, a lot of dive spots and so on. So there's a variety of choices for developers, variety of choices for investment, and they welcome investments. In fact, most of our big businessmen, Taipans in the Philippines started their businesses in Cebu. So you can see that the very enterprising people, and many countries else in the world, they do their man-made artificial islands because they don't have waterfront. If I remember right, Cebu Island has 500 kilometers of waterfront, the perimeter of the island. And tourism-wise, the tourism projects that we've been doing from Ilocos to Davao to Siargao, the topography of our islands is so interesting. So we call it, even the Department of Tourism is using this concept already, that from ridge to reef, ridge, the mountain top, the highlands, the midlands, the lowlands, and the coastlines. So it's very ideal to do tourism development planning because of these choices. Topography-wise, natural resource-wise, it's all there. And Cebu City has 8 universities. So it even attracts call centers and so on because education is very important in the development of Cebu. Of course, there are challenges, but these challenges, these are opportunities as well, as they say. And during this pandemic, who said it? Churchill said, never let a good crisis go away. So this crisis, we should opportunities now to replan. One of my professors at Harvard was telling us, this century will be a re-century, reimagine, replan, re-architecture, redesign, redevelop, and hopefully we'll have urban renaissance. And this is a good opportunity now to do all this. Cebu can unlearn the mistakes of Metro Manila and implement the best practices in the world. And it's a very exciting place to invest. In fact, we already put up our own office, Palafox, in Cebu City. Right now, it is already there, and there are many development potentials happening. A lot of inquiries, and as I mentioned earlier, hotels are closing down. We're working on the architecture of 4 hotels outside Metro Manila, And there's hope for our country. And I strongly believe that well into the new world order, I don't call it new normal because it will be a different new order. There will be a lot of opportunities. And I'm so positive about our country. And if we work together, one nation together, I think we can be a first world country by 2030. And I think that's also the Asia CEO Forum, of which I'm very part of it. I think we can all do this. Let's be positive. Let's think of good ideas how our country can become first world. And I have helped other countries, 40 other countries in their urban development, in their architecture, urban design, and so on. Now I am more focused in our country. And if there's more time, because we're helping celebrate the 500 years of Christianity in our country, we're privileged that we have been appointed by the Archdiocese of Cebu, Archbishop Palma, to do the architecture, master planning, interior design, and engineering of Divine Mercy Shrine. And it's being, the plans are ready, about to be put up. Divine Mercy Shrine, together with Archdiocese of Cebu. And thank you for the people who have donated the land, and also the people helping us out. And this is the statue of the Divine Mercy Shrine. It will be on top of a mountain in Consolacion, Cebu. This will be a pilgrimage site, destination site, tourism site, to remind us of celebrate our Christianity of 500 years. And all the design, architecture, interior design are putting in place right now in preparation to his construction. It will be, can even guide sailors' navigation with this Divine Mercy Shrine. And we are trying to influence also the surrounding areas so that it really centered on this Divine Mercy Shrine. It will also have a chapel underneath. And of course, we're also designing with nature. We respect the topography. And there will be more, it's not just gray infrastructure, concrete, but also green infrastructure, a lot of greening here. Everyone has the opportunity to help this constructed. And we also design that there will be a lot of opportunities for donations. Let's say the 4 mysteries of the Holy Rosary, the Stations of the Cross, they will be there also. And you can see here how it fits nature, how it fits the topography. So it's more landscape than concrete. Thank you very much indeed.
Hey, that was June Palafox, looking healthy and fit, and so glad to have him. And yes, so a lot going on in the Cebu area, and I'm so pleased to hear that he's designing 4 new hotels to be built. These are big thinking, far thinking entrepreneurs who know of the future that is going to be exciting for Philippines, especially after this COVID pandemic. So thank you again to June Palafox. Always good to see you, June. Okay, welcome everyone to the question and answer section of the event. Always the most engaging, in my opinion. And we have some diverse and interesting fellows with us to talk about their exciting projects in Cebu and across the nation. So let's start off. We'll get going with just a general question, guys. COVID, everybody is talking about it still, and certainly it should be something talked about. Maybe if I could ask you a personal question about how it impacted you and your business work. Maybe Jimmy, you had a very a personal situation. Could you start off with us on that?
Oh yeah, thanks, Richard. Yeah, for the information of everyone, I had a very good experience with COVID last January. Actually, it was my birthday when I was advised to go into quarantine after testing positive for COVID. So me and my wife, we had to relocate so as not to affect the other members in our household. But we were so blessed because our symptoms were just mild symptoms, but it was a very nice experience for us. We had time. Me and my wife had 14 days to each other, just the two of us. You know, we did everything, including cleaning our space, trying to heat up our food. But most of all, it gave us a new perspective on life. That we found out that life is indeed really very very valuable, very important. That we don't take lightly, our health especially. And after 14 days, we were able to come back home after testing negative. And it has given a lot of insights for us, me and my wife. For the business in general, I believe that we'll be able to hurdle this challenge in this time of our lives, because as vaccinations are ramping up and people understand how to play around this COVID situation, I believe that there's still a bright future for everyone.
Sure, and Jimmy, I know worked right through his COVID situation. So, and he's looks strong and healthy now. So we're glad. It's just because you have it doesn't mean it's the end. It's you got to fight it.
I was working.
Yeah.
While on 14-day quarantine, I still continued to work from where I was. As long as internet was good, then we're okay.
That's right. Well, you have something to do with that. And I know June Palafox also, who also a speaker on this event, but he also had it and just finished with it just a few days ago. He came back from the hospital, and he's a little older than us, but a very robust, energetic guy, and he survived, did very well with it as well, working all the way through it as well. So, Loyd, what was your experience? How has it changed how you work and live?
Well, during the first few days of lockdown, it was very hard for us as a service provider, logistics provider. So, but we managed to cope up with the present situation. Since we are also considered as an essential, so we're able to pass anywhere. So we have our IDs and certificate of employment. So the checkpoints is good. And while on the lockdown, there are still cargoes coming in, and e-commerce is very hot during that time because the people are in their respective houses. So all they have to do is just have some orders coming from the online, and we will be there because that's our business, to deliver the food, the grocery, the essentials that every household wants. So we will we are there to support support the economy. So up to this time, we still manage to cope up with the pandemic, with our strategies, and we made it. So nothing that much actually. So we are free to move all around.
Good for you. Okay. And Louie Ferrer with Megawide, big projects you manage. Louie, how did it impact you and your operations?
Well, for our travel sector, we actually have different kinds of experiences. So for our airport business, since it's considered more tourism related, we really experience a downtrend in terms of foot traffic. As mentioned earlier, we used to do more than 30,000 passengers a day. In 2020, we were down to about 2,000, just less than 10% of our traffic pre-COVID. But for our land terminal, our land port, it's considered essential. So pre-COVID, we used to do 60,000 passengers a day. Now we're very close to that number. What's interesting is that the passenger behavior has somehow changed. So what's common to them is that travelers are more careful on and more demanding on safety and health protocols. But in response, we instituted stricter safety and health protocols as well. We do a lot of course, aside from the basic protocols set by the government, we also have our own systems patterned from international standards.
I see. And your airport in Mandaue, now this was such a big thing at the time. When did it open that you'd finished it? Just before the pandemic, was it, Louie?
Yeah, the airport Cebu project was awarded in 2014. And in 2016, we started our operations already in Cebu. We have 2 terminals. The second terminal was opened in 2019. Sorry, in 2018.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Good. It's a high-profile thing. And Ruben, how about you?
For us, it's been in Singapore. We've had a few lockdowns, and so personally, my parents came to visit from Australia and got stuck here for nearly 11 months, which was a blessing as well. Got to spend some time with them, which is great. They've been able to return since then, and I started this job during COVID times. So that's been a challenge, and quite interesting as well. Coming on board, meeting teams remotely, but also customers. I work right across the ASEAN region, so working with customers remotely, whereas I normally would have flown to that country, done workshops with customers. But the interesting thing that I've seen is that customers are now really looking to innovate and to pivot business to deliver differently to their customers. So the key difference I'm seeing is more focus around that from more businesses around wanting to pivot. So not just innovate on the products they have today, but consider even new lines of business and look at how they might serve customers differently so that they can maintain revenue, serve customers in new need areas that are coming up due to the pandemic and so on. So it's quite interesting. But working in the virtual context is different. It requires different tools, different ways to connect with people, different ways to make workshops and meeting of the minds effective. So that's been a big learning for us as well, how to execute those things, build relationship, and to get positive outcomes out of these types of workshops and interactions that we have with customers.
Yeah, and Ruben's giving us a lot of attention in Philippines, and he really sees the country as a real growth area for digital services. So yeah, Ruben, we want you to do well. Now for the future, guys, what do we think about what's going to happen? I mean, we can talk a bit more focus about Cebu and Visayas, but really the whole nation and your business. But are you seeing things starting to open up, or what are your plans for the next year or two? Who wants to go? Well, Jimmy, I mean, I don't know. I'll ask you because you're busy trying to keep all of our connections working, and I know you've been a lot of infrastructure and so forth. But what can you tell us from your side?
Well, aside from keeping your connections or the connections working like fiber, it's a good thing that PLDT as a company really invested in fiber technology, because if not, we would have been, in deep trouble during the pandemic. And aside from that, we also invested in upgrading our wireless, smart wireless network to 5G. So here in Cebu, or even in the country in general, we have already some 5G areas that can deliver high-speed internet. But looking forward, we are tirelessly working with a lot of partners now to develop more solutions other than outside connectivity that can help businesses navigate through situations like this, wherein we are in a pandemic. I don't think this will be the first and the last pandemic to hit us. We even don't know when this will last. And that's why we're continuing to innovate and create platforms for the private as well as the public sector. I've just attended the forum of the Cebu Chamber, and it's really digitalization, like what Ruben says, that we need to pivot. And that was the battle cry of our chairman a few years back, that we need to pivot or perish. And it's a good thing that we embarked on that journey, because if not, it would be very difficult for us to support our customers since last year when the pandemic hit us. And so that's it. We created a consulting team. We're constantly meeting online with our customers, like even the public sector, the LGUs, the provincial governments, and a lot of enterprise customers. So we're trying to see how we can really help them, including the MSMEs. We even created packages, like for example, offering them back-end solutions and priced at a monthly recurring charge instead of having them purchase them outright because the costs are so high. So we're doing a lot of things to help the economy ramp up and hopefully get back on its feet as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Louie, your organization has so many projects across the country, and these infrastructure projects that you oversee are really going to be key. I mean, the airport is going to be key to the Cebu and Visayas economy, it seems to me. What do you see about the future? I know your number of riders is down and all this. Is it all gloom and doom, or is it going to be coming up, do you think?
Well, if we're talking about the total Megawide, we're lucky because our main foundation is an engineering business, and there were actually a lot of projects included in the pipeline. Some even in the previous administration, in this administration, that were not able to materialize because of COVID and many other factors. So we're very optimistic that we can participate in those projects. May they be through engineering or even as a concessionaire. So Philippines needs a lot of infrastructure projects, especially now. So we're optimistic we can get some of those projects. There are very few players in the Philippines, and we're one of those who can participate in both as in engineering and as a concessionaire.
I see. Interesting. And what about your airport in Cebu? I mean, it's such a high profile facility. I mean, what do you hear?
Well, as mentioned also earlier, since we're 70% domestic, we're hopeful that the recovery is faster. But we're also lucky that most of the visitors in Cebu, most of the international visitors in Cebu are from Japan, Korea, and China. And they have faster recovery programs. They're more aggressive in terms of their vaccination campaigns and other COVID recovery programs. So we are hopeful with Cebu, and I'm sure we also hope that the election season will help jumpstart the travel economy.
That's right. Okay, good. All right, that's what we want to hear. Positive stuff. Loyd, the people buying things online, that must help you, but are they doing enough to really keep you doing well? How's things with you guys?
Yes, actually, it is a very positive side from our industry, because I think from maybe in 2 to 3 years time now, everybody is online. I think people will go making orders through online. So there will be some influx for online business. So to cope up with this demand, our company Airspeed will really make it happen. Right now we have our, I think today we will be launching our Pinas Speed. This is a service, from all over the Philippines. So from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So one thing also, another, the influx of orders coming from China, just like Lazada and Shopee. So to support this kind, we will be, we have our motorcycle riders to do the last mile deliveries. So we also have our warehousing, our e-fulfillment. We have a lot of things. We have Speed Grocery, we have Speed Food, and another service that we are offering is also Unbox Me. This is where you can purchase items coming from the US and will bring it to the Philippines, anywhere in the Philippines.
Yeah, Loyd's group welcomed a new investor, a couple of years ago now. The SM group is a major investor in Airspeed. So there's a lot of interest and see what's going to be the future with that as well, Loyd. So good luck with all that. And we have June Palafox with us. June, I asked the other fellas about how COVID has impacted them. And I also mentioned that you had spent the past few weeks in the hospital, but working all the way through. So you see everybody how healthy and vigorous he looks. So maybe the rest did him some well. But maybe can you describe everyone your experience with COVID and so forth, June?
For one, we should all be very careful because I am fully vaccinated. But maybe just in time, I was brought by my daughter Katrina to Makati Medical Center. And they're very good doctors and a lot of prayers from friends and you guys. But this pandemic COVID is going to reshape our cities, reshape our buildings, reshape our architecture, urban planning. So many of the projects we're doing now, we're already looking ahead. Like buildings now should be designed like healthcare facilities, meaning natural light, ventilation. But for us architects, the challenge will be how to make this more aesthetically pleasing. That's one. And even in restaurants and hotels, I've been saying some webinars I spoke, restaurants will probably 30% kitchen, 20% indoor dining, 50% al fresco outdoor dining. In our cities, let's not convert anymore our open spaces into sellable areas. Because parks and open spaces are the lungs of the city. And in fact, I compare Metro Manila to the human body. Lungs and open spaces have been sold. The arteries are the roads and waterways. And the major activity centers are the central business districts and so on. So Metro Manila need a heart transplant, a heart bypass, and lung transfer. Unfortunately, this is being repeated in Cebu. But Cebu still had the big opportunity to unlearn mistakes of Metro Manila and bring in the best practices in the world. And for healthcare systems, with our 108 million Filipinos, we need more than 5 million hospitals. At this point in time, we have less than 2,000 hospitals. So maybe healthcare is also an area for investments, healthcare. And Cebu is a destination for health and wellness, retirement. The Japanese call it silver hair villages, the airports in fact. Instead of calling it retirement, silver hair villages. And Cebu probably is one of the best destinations for all these investments. So again, this pandemic gave us an opportunity to rethink, reimagine, re-architecture, replan all our developments. So there's a lot of opportunities with this pandemic as well.
Absolutely. And June, your business seemed to have done well no matter what you do. You have so many projects. And I was pleased to hear he's working on 4 new hotels underway. So people are thinking about the future, right, June? I mean, the future is going to be good. What do you think?
Yes, sir. 4 hotels outside Metro Manila and outside Metro Cebu also. Outside Cebu City, there we're also doing some tourism development potentials. Like, if I may, we have been working with the Department of Tourism. We were fortunate enough to have won the Tourism Master Fund for Siargao Island, Corregidor, and of course it finished San Vicente Palawan, and so on. Both government, private sector, we're very fortunate enough to have won some of this project. Locos Norte Tourism Master Plan ongoing right now, Batangas City, Metro Davao, the whole of Metro Davao. Not just tourism, but development planning. So our professional practice of architecture and planning, we're doing well. The business aspect of it, I'm not sure, because everybody's financially challenged right now.
Yes.
But we have to pay payrolls on time. So that's the challenge right now. But we're okay. Sometimes we say, it's okay not to be okay. Just try to survive.
Okay, good advice. That's very true, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people are challenged, and but now, Ruben, everyone's talking about digital innovation, and you are the guy to do that. You know, Jimmy mentioned it. I know Loyd as well. But for organizations, let's talk about Philippines. I mean, what industries do you think have the biggest opportunity? And what, I don't know, can you talk about anything you're working on and kind of give us a bit of juicy, you know, and the opportunities and challenges? What can you tell us, Ruben?
You probably can't go into any specifics, but you know, I'm working with different industries across, you know, across the Philippines, and you know, from FSI through to retail, hospitality as well. But the opportunity is there for each of the different industries. But what I'm finding is more and more, as I mentioned earlier, companies are looking at 2 things. One is, how can they serve customers in a different way? And that might mean that they go outside of the current scope of what they deliver today so that they expand and look at new revenue lines. The other thing they're doing is not necessarily just looking at the customers they serve today. You know, when we look at one customer I'm working with, they looked at their current customer base. And their first instinct was to say, okay, we're serving these are the types of customers we're serving most. This fits 70% of our customers. Let's see what else we can do for them. But rather than do that, what they pivoted to was say, who's our underrepresented or smaller group of customers that we're not doing a lot for today? And they looked at, for example, OFWs, who might not be in the country, but maybe now have different challenges, not being able to travel, not being able to come and see their families, not being able to invest back into the Philippines, all those sorts of things. So looking at those challenges for those groups that they may not be doing a lot of work with today, but seeing where they might engage with them differently, digitally, how they might offer different types of solutions or even different ways of engaging in platform-based businesses rather than direct engagement. Starting to look at the picture, taking a step back and looking at what the customer actually needs, because they as a business may not have what the customer needs. And now partnerships, looking at B2B relationships and how they bring value to the customer, not just in point form, but across a platform of different services that they might stitch together and offer as a new offering. So this is the shift in thinking that I'm seeing, which will really position those companies for the future, because they don't limit themselves with the capabilities they have. They look at the partnerships, upstream, downstream, whatever else they can do to bring the value to the customer. But they are starting with the customer, trying to understand what does the customer actually need, and then trying to figure a way forward, which is what we really try to help with from an Amazon context as well, in the way that we innovate.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, fellas, thank you very, very much for being part of this event, Asia CEO Cebu. Really, and we have a very diverse group. So anybody listening, if you want to be introduced, I'll introduce personally these key leaders we have here. I was just looking at you guys and I was kind of impressed. You know, we've got senior guys, logistics, telecommunications, infrastructure development, architecture and urban planning, and digital innovation with Amazon Web Services. So really key people, and we're so pleased that you guys are really doing so much, both in the Cebu Visayas region, but across the country. So yeah, let's all, and have a positive outlook. So let's all try to think positively. There's challenges, but there's lots of tremendous opportunities ahead. So thank you again, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.